As I sit in front of the hermitage of Saint Bruno, dedicated to and named after Saint Bruno, the Carthusian, as I sit here in the evening, nice quiet evening, I would just like to give you advice to watch documentaries which are often forgotten, but I think are very important for understanding what's going on inside the church and also outside the church. It is documentaries by Kemp, an Englishman, on gangs, the gang culture. He has made other risky documentaries which I also appreciate, but I would like to indicate especially his documentaries on the gang culture all over the world. He doesn't judge. He shows in a very honest way what's going on inside, what's going on in people's mind. Something that for a lot of people who are civilized or who consider themselves civilized is strange, frightening, and pretty absurd. I think Kemp, without judging and even without asking the questions, shows very much a world about which we can just wonder, where is our natural virtue of religion? Where is the virtue which wants to re-link, reunite, reconnect between the visible material reality, which is often very absurd and any case doesn't have any meaning by itself, and the invisible reality that we cannot perceive, which we can suspect exists and about which we might have the right intuitions, but that invisible reality, absolute reality, which does not change, which is eternal, must be our only chance of surviving this world and finding a life that has meaning. The world of the absolute existence on the one hand, and the meaningless world of evolution on the other hand. Religion wants to link up the two, because we are living in the two. We are in between. Our soul is lost in between, if you like. That virtue of religion, isn't it very much relevant when we look at the extremities that are manifested in the whole gang culture? And doesn't the gang culture indicate that the virtue, the normal virtue of religion is lacking in our cultures? And that means also in our Christian cultures. Even as a Christian, when you believe in God, when you believe in Jesus Christ, it's possible to lose any sense of the virtue of religion, which is natural, which should emerge from the soul, which the soul should search, the virtue of religion, which is like necessary before you can believe. It is like presupposed when Christ comes. It's like a premise. If you don't have a virtue of religion, Christianity, first of all, is irrelevant. And if you lose your virtue of religion while being a Christian, Christianity becomes something really wacky. And finally, it becomes irrelevant. Now, Kemp doesn't talk about that at all, but the honest way and the fascinating way he describes gang culture makes me ask the question, makes me wonder, doesn't he just describe a substitute for the virtue of religion because elsewhere it cannot be found? It's like a surrogate religion. We'll continue about that. But there's another filmmaker, journalist whom I want to mention, and that's Adam Curtis. Adam Curtis doesn't go to the gang culture, but he goes quite to the contrary. He goes to the core of modernity, of modern society, and especially to the elite of the Anglo-American culture, which we must admit is like the dominating tendency in our modern world, including outside England and outside the United States. Adam Curtis shows in a fascinating, very gifted way, he shows the loss of meaning in the Anglo-American culture and the desperate search to find it back again. And also, I would say, the final failure to find it back again. In the general sense that something is wrong, but also the general sense that something can be done about it, and the generalized indifference that dominates our Western society at the moment, with all the consequences of that. So if you have time, if there's bad weather, just have a look at these documentaries. You can find them on the internet. Ross Kemp about the gangs, and Adam Curtis, well, about what he sees in especially the Anglo-American culture. He comes up with a lot of things that a lot of people don't know. And he shows, he associates things with each other that are often not seen by others, which is very nice. And he connects certain dots in the evolution of our culture that have not been connected by other people. Very, very interesting. So that's my advice for tonight.